Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our Women's Advanced Bible Study Night, the 26th of October, 2023. I had mentioned earlier in the week how I was going to turn this weekend into a Zerubbabel weekend, right? So we're starting right now tonight. We're getting more acquainted with and uncovering who Zerubbabel is in his role in our past and in our present. Okay. So you can go to Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. We have a lot of videos. They'll connect a lot of dots for you. It leads you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving through these videos, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. And if you feel the need to support the channel, we got a cash app at the bottom of the page. Okay. So with that being said, for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. And by that, I mean, we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance. And the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of hosts. Okay? Shalom and welcome to this channel. And welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study night. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, our prayer, Psalms. We'll do some women help. And then we do some current events. And we have some need to know information. And then we open up for some questions or comments or some dialogue. Then we'll go into the discussion of getting more acquainted with Zerubbabel, the introduction to Zerubbabel. Okay. So with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. So Lord, we come before thee at this hour, praising you and worshiping you and honoring you because of your position both in heaven and upon the earth, the position in which the Creator Yahweh have given unto thee. And through your spirit and counsel, O Lord, we have awakened. We have awakened to know who we are as a people and who you are as our Savior and Redeemer. We are thankful for all that you have done, and we are eagerly searching your scriptures out that we may be in the right place at the right time upon the arrival to this planet. We love you and we seek you daily, O Lord. There is none else besides thee to redeem us. And we see you in the affairs of the world, and we faithfully await your deliverance. Peace be unto you. Okay. Somebody gonna read the Psalms?
Yes, sir. Shalom, shalom, everyone. I'll be reading Psalms 48. It's in its entirety, 1 through 14. Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the Lord earth. The whole earth is Mount Zion. On the side of the north, the city of the great king. God is known in her places for a refuge. For lo, the king were assembled. They passed by together. They saw it, and so they marveled. They were troubled and hasted away. Fear took hold upon them, there in pain, as a woman in travail. Thou breakest the ship of Tarshish with
Tarsus.
Tarsus with an east wind, as we have heard, so have we seen in the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God. God will establish it forever. Selah. We have thought of the loving kindness, O God, in the midst of thy temple. According to thy name, O God, so is thy praise unto the ends of the earth. Thy right hand is full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad, and because of thy judgments. Walk about Zion and go around about her. Tell the towers, therefore, thereof, mark ye well her bulwarks. Consider her places, that ye may tell it to the generations following. For this God is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide, even unto death. I read Psalms 48, 1 through 14.
Okay. You got any comments on
This,
it?
as me reading it, we can look at Isaiah 2 and 3, and I'm going to go to that one moment. It's talking about how Jerusalem is where they're saying a city that they want to go to. So 2 and 3. I'm going to read Isaiah chapter 2, verse 3. And many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his path. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And saying that is knowing that the Heavenly Father, the Lord of hosts, is with us until the end of our days. He's there. He's going to protect us.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Shalom, everyone. I look at this as a song of praise, as we know that that the Lord is delivering Jerusalem from its enemies. That's what I get out of it from when Sister Cheryl was reading it. Verse 1 and 3, right? It talks about the attackers, right? But then
Right.
they are defeated. So that is what I get out of it.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Anybody else? So we start at verse 10, like I was saying, identifying who this is. If you go to verse 10, it says, according to thy name, O God, so is thy praise unto the ends of the earth. Thy right hand is full of righteousness. So go to Exodus 23 and you see, this is just one example. Exodus 23 says, the Lord telling Moses, the Lord Yahweh telling Moses, behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, obey his voice, provoke him not. He will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. And you go back over here, verse 10 says, according to thy name. What name? The name Yahweh gave him. And then so you keep going, 11, and let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because thy judgments. So who bring the judgment? When in Sodom and Gomorrah, 3 angels came. One of them was the Lord. He was on his way to judge Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay. Then it says 12. Walk about Zion and go round about her and tell the towers thereof. 13. Mark ye well her bullocks and consider her palaces, that ye may tell it to the generations to follow. For this God is our God, and forever and ever, and he will be our guide, even unto death. So go back to Exodus 23 and verse 20, he says that I see the angel before thee. That's what a guide is. He guide, shepherd. It's not Yahweh. So it says in verse 14, 48 and 14, for this God is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide, even unto death. Okay. Anybody got anything else? Everybody good on that?
Yes.
Okay. So we go to our women's health moment.
Yes. Shalom, everyone. Please note that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is about what's in our personal care products is anything but beautiful and is more toxic for women of color. Cosmetic and personal care products are a multi-billion-dollar industry. Every day, the average woman uses several different beauty products such as body cleansers, conditioners, hair dyes, perfumes, skincare items, and scented lotions, nail polish, and makeup. A study published reveals most women are exposed to 515 synthetic chemicals from their daily skincare and makeup routine. So, have you ever stopped to think about what's in the skincare products that we slather on our faces every day? It's so easy to get swept away by a product's packaging, price tag, and promise of a better complexion without considering what lies beneath it all. But there could be more than just natural and beneficial ingredients inside those bottles. Some products are hiding hazardous chemicals and ingredients that can have serious implications for our health. Did you know that research shows that women of color are disproportionately exposed to toxic chemicals and that beauty and personal care products are one of the sources of exposure? These products often contain more toxic ingredients, particularly hormone disruptors like parabens and phthalates, just to name a few, than products marketed to white women. And because of a difference in the number of personal care products used daily, Black women on average purchases 9 times more beauty products than white women. The potential harm of these toxic ingredients is multiplied. These are the same types of chemicals that have been measured at higher levels in the bodies of women of color and have been linked to reproductive disorders such as fibroids and early onset puberty. Disorders where racially and ethnic disparities are notable. Though claims like paraben free and phthalate free are starting to appear for some beauty products, they're not showing up as often in products marketed to women of color, like products for curly hair, or dark skin tones. Consumers are aware of the harmful effects of chemicals, so if you can opt for more natural ingredients such as aloe vera, papaya, honey, shea butter, or coconut oil, just to name a few. In conclusion, I encourage you to become more aware of the dangerous ingredients that may be in your skincare products by carefully reading the labels. By selecting products that are free of these harmful ingredients, you can enjoy healthy, glowing skin without putting yourself at risk. I'm going to read Genesis chapter 12, verses 11 through 17. And the Bible tells us that our mother Sarah was exceedingly beautiful in her appearance. So I'm going to start with verse 11. And it came to pass when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarah his wife, Behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, This is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. Verse 14. And it came to pass that when Abram was come into Egypt, the Egyptian beheld the woman that she was very fair. The prince also of Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake, and he had sheep and oxen, and he had asses and men servants and maid servants, and she had asses and camels. Verse 17. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plague because of Sarah, Abram's wife. Shalom, everyone.
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay, yeah. I was listening to that, and it dawned on me the answer. You know, people are always trying to figure out, the makeup of the human. You know, the soul, the body, and all that. And so everything else they gave us is ass backwards. So if you look at that, what Abraham said, right? And like I said, I'm gonna listen to David and Abraham and Jeremiah and them before I listen to anybody. So it says, he said, tell them that I'm your brother, that my soul may live. Right? So
Yes,
we
sir.
know that they tell us the soul is, what's inside us, right? And the body is something else. But the way Abraham quoted that is, the body is the soul. Because he said that my soul may live. So that's the only thing we already know his spirit he ain't gonna die. It can't be his soul, because his soul ain't gonna, when a person dies, their body dies. But listening to that, it's the spirit. The body is the soul. Okay, yeah. So it just dawned on me when I was listening to that. He said that my soul may live. So it's the body. That's what they're gonna kill. They're gonna kill the body, right?
Right. Yes, sir. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the soul gonna live. Spirit gonna live. So it can't be so the body. It can't be soul. Can't be what they said. Yeah. Then you go to the angels. They spirits. That's what's in us, the spirit. So it's the spirit. The body is the soul. Okay. Yeah. Any comments? Yeah. So we go to some current events. Anybody got anything? Please?
Secret weapon to stop both European and United States exports. Watch this video to the end to learn about this secret weapon and how the US and Europe is affected. This is actually a game changer, and the world is about to really change. Recently, an unexpected disclosure unveiled a secret alliance between China and Iran, both formidable power on the global stage. Their objective: to strategically impede Europe's access to crucial energy exports. The motivations behind this secretive endeavor are multifaceted, sparking both intrigue and concern regarding the potential consequences for Europe and the global stage. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube. Delving into historical contexts provides insights into this fresh alignment. While China has cultivated strong economic bonds with European countries over recent decades, with the European Union standing as its premier trading partner, Iran's rapport with Europe paints a more volatile picture, marred by sanctions, nuclear accords, and ideological divergences. Just a quick reminder to hit that like button below. YouTube has been restricting my videos a lot recently because of bots. So your like does help out this video massively in terms of the algorithm in YouTube. Yet, amidst these overt economic and political exchanges, an undercurrent of competition and rivalry has persisted. Europe's significant dependence on energy, particularly oil and gas imports, has always been its Achilles heel. Recognizing this vulnerability, both China and Iran saw a golden opportunity to advance their strategic interests. Criticism has arisen, particularly from the US and some European quarters, regarding the potential destabilizing effects of such maneuvers, especially in light of existing sanctions and geopolitical concerns. While the immediate impacts of this newfound alliance may be economic, the long-term implications run far deeper, suggesting an ambitious reimagining of traditional power structures. China's Belt and Road Initiative, a sprawling global infrastructure endeavor spanning multiple continents, has positioned it ideally to harness Iran's abundant oil and gas resources. This vision lays the foundation for a contemporary energy Silk Road that circumvents the conventional routes Europe has historically relied upon. Such a move not only bolsters China's energy assurance, but also offers Iran a lucrative alternative market, diminishing its reliance on European buyers. Amidst the sanctions and political pressures from the West, Iran, desperate to diversify its energy clientele and liberate itself from these constraints, finds this alliance particularly enticing. Geographically, Iran's position as a bridge between Asia and Europe makes it an invaluable partner for China. This endeavor to disrupt Europe's energy imports wasn't an impromptu decision. Reports indicate that multiple confidential meetings between senior Chinese and Iranian officials transpired over the past year. Conducted in the utmost discretion, these discussions focused on the logistics and potential challenges of this novel energy corridor. Their covert nature, shielded from international media and intelligence communities, ensured their strategies remained undisclosed until the opportune moment. Upon whispers of this clandestine partnership reaching European corridors of power, unease was palpable. Europe, already navigating challenges pertaining to energy security, perceived this as a blatant provocation. European leaders' reactions varied. While some advocated for transparent dialogue with China and Iran, seeking clarity on their objectives, others recommended a more assertive approach. This involved exploring alternative energy sources and fortifying their indigenous energy infrastructure. The potential ramifications on global energy costs cannot be understated. With Europe possibly losing access to a substantial segment of its energy imports, prices could soar, placing economic pressures and exacerbating pre-existing global tensions. One China and Iran's bold strategy extends beyond mere energy concerns. It's a deliberate move on the intricate chessboard of international diplomacy, signaling a potential recalibration of prevailing power hierarchies. Moreover, the repercussions reverberate beyond Europe. The US, historically a staunch European ally, finds itself at a crossroads. The looming question, will the US back its European counterparts, thereby heightening tensions with China and Iran? Or will it tread cautiously, prioritizing its own energy security and geopolitical interests? The implications of this clandestine alliance between China and Iran become increasingly apparent. Nations beyond the primary stakeholders are closely monitoring the situation. The Middle East, Central Asia, and even Africa are observing with bated breath. For many of these nations, energy exports play a pivotal role in their economies. Any disruptions to established trade norms could trigger significant repercussions. Mountain-Glow Central Asian republics, abundant in energy resources, find themselves at a crossroads. Historically, they've juggled their affiliations between the West, primarily Europe, and their influential eastern neighbor, China. The unfolding scenario presents a complex dilemma. Should they align with the emergent China-Iran alliance, potentially benefiting from the new energy Silk Road, or maintain their established ties with Europe? The decision is intricate, intertwining economic factors with multifaceted political and cultural dynamics. The Middle East, a perennial epicenter for geopolitical complexities, is presented with a fresh set of challenges. Nations like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, traditionally Western allies, might view the China-Iran collaboration with skepticism. Their long-standing rivalry with Iran, particularly within the context of the Sunni-Shia divide, adds layers to this multifaceted puzzle. Their responses, whether forming counter-alliances, seeking diplomatic dialogues, or other strategies, will significantly influence the region's equilibrium. With Europe potentially scouting for alternative energy partners, Africa emerges as a viable contender. Countries such as Nigeria, Angola, and Algeria, endowed with rich oil and gas reserves, could potentially bridge the gap created by the China-Iran strategy. This shift might herald a new phase of African-European partnerships, leading to augmented investments, infrastructure advancements, and mutual economic growth. Nonetheless, challenges persist. The looming specter of neo-colonialism, where dominant nations exploit the resources of weaker counterparts, is ever present. African leadership must navigate this terrain judiciously. ensuring that any novel energy agreements prioritize their citizenry and contribute to sustainable progression. In today's digital epoch, information wields unparalleled power. The ability of China and Iran to maintain the secrecy of their alliance for an extended period underscores their prowess in cyber operations and information warfare. This revelation highlights the paramount role intelligence agencies play in safeguarding national interests, emphasizing the necessity for efficient counterintelligence measures and robust cyber defense mechanisms. One evident lesson drawn from this unfolding narrative is Europe's pressing imperative to diversify its energy sources. While Europe has made commendable progress in harnessing renewable energy, the China-Iran strategy sharply accentuates the inherent risks of over-reliance on a limited number of energy providers. In response, Europe might expedite its shift towards green energy. Increased investments in solar, wind, hydro, and nuclear power are foreseeable. Such a transformation would not only bolster energy security, but also address pressing global climate concerns. Ironically, the strategic maneuver by China and Iran could inadvertently catalyze Europe's transition to a more sustainable energy future at an accelerated pace. Viewer,
want to know how long it takes me to send money?
please don't forget to subscribe, share the video, and comment. When addressing these global challenges, the role of multilateral institutions cannot be understated. Organizations such as the United Nations, the International Energy Agency, and the World Trade Organization will be indispensable in mediating these tensions by providing platforms for dialogue, facilitating trust-building initiatives, and ensuring the unhindered flow of global commerce and energy. These institutions will be paramount. Their efficacy in conflict resolution and fostering international collaboration will be tested as nations grapple with this evolving geopolitical landscape. Beyond geopolitical intricacies, the economic ramifications of this strategy are profound. Global markets thrive on stability, and any substantial disruption to Europe's energy supply, a key economic bloc, can send tremors through global financial systems. Stock markets, currency exchanges, and commodity prices might experience unprecedented volatility. Businesses, especially those entrenched in the energy sector or reliant on stable energy prices, will be compelled to recalibrate their strategies. Emphasis on risk mitigation, diversification of supply chains, and a renewed focus on sustainability will likely dominate corporate agendas. The China-Iran saga underscores the complexities of our interconnected world. It serves as a poignant reminder that in the realm of global politics, actions are multidimensional with wide-reaching impacts. As this chapter in global geopolitics unfolds, it epitomizes the significance of foresight, adaptability, and collaboration for Europe and the global community at large. The path forward is not through isolation or confrontation, but by building bridges, forging novel alliances, and fostering mutual understanding.
Okay, yeah, so notice that this whole conversation is about the Rolling Bell Initiative. The Rolling Bell Initiative is going to eventually be death of the United States and death of Europe. Like I said, it's like it's on 3 legs right now. It's trying to get the 4 legs under it. Once it gets stabilized the way they want it, it's just going to be the end of this West. Okay, any comment? Okay.
No, sir.
Peace, family. Vicky Jill here for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. Thank you so very much. Family, here in the United States of America, we have been dealing with an ongoing migrant crisis. And some have speculated that it's actually manufactured. It has been done intentionally. We, foundational Black Americans, some of us Native Americans, Black Americans, whatever title you want to use, have been distressed because billions and billions of dollars have gone to give literal tangible support to non-citizens, many of which got here illegally. But the United States of America still to this day refuses to pay those of us who are responsible for the actual literal creation, building, and sustaining of the United States of America. They refuse to give us reparations. Talk back to me, someone. Well, this piece came out not too long ago that says NGOs which are non-governmental organizations, use American tax dollars to relocate migrants. Something very interesting it says here, just some little background. It says from the local to the state to the federal level, Americans are paying a hefty price for the humanitarian crisis at the southern border. And in a way, the federal government is able to hide the true cost of the border crisis from the public through NGOs. Majority of the migrants living in cities like New York or smaller towns across America do so with the help of non-governmental organizations, which I just mentioned, NGOs, organizations like charities or religiously affiliated non-profits, right? Well, what got me, family, here is when they started talking about how Border Patrol, over the past couple of years, Border Patrol holding stations have constantly been at overcapacity in dealing with the massive influx, right? So when this happened, they released processed migrants to NGOs to shelter, to feed, to coordinate travel for migrants to their final destinations, right? Well, I found this little bit of information interesting. Further on down, it says, according to Forbes, the NGO Catholic Charities USA received $1.4 billion from government support, compared with $1 billion in private donations. Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service reported more than $93.1 million in U.S. government grants in its 2021 financial statements, making taxpayer-funded grants more than 80% of its total support. And that number would only climb as the Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service, it says, would receive $182.6 million in grants in the fiscal year of 2022 from the Department of Health and Human Services. Another NGO, it says, the Church World Services reported more than $20.5 million in grant funds in its 2022 financial reporting, making it more than 40% of its assets coming from taxpayers, so much more. So people are saying, how can we justify all these millions and billions of dollars in non-governmental organizations for people, regardless of the reason, many of which have violated federal law to get here? But you are at the same time telling Black Americans we can't get reparations. We're going to continue to highlight this because America is playing right in our faces. And we will not support a party by giving them their vote, our vote, giving them power to change our condition when they only turn around and change it for everybody else but us, and tell us all of the reasons why they won't do for us what they ought. Beloved, I am so excited about my upcoming Ancestors webinar, where me and my dear brother, Mystic Rod Hayes, he is respected all over the world.
Okay. Any comments on that? Yeah, like
Shalom.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Shalom.
Go
As
ahead.
you were saying yesterday, it's it's a reason for that, right? And we're not seeing, a lot of us is not seeing and understanding why it's all happening, right? And with all the events that are going on around the world, we're just missing a lot of it, right? So I went in today and just doing some research on different things that we talk about so that I'll have a better understanding. So I came across an article, Brother Leonard, that came out last year, right? And it says the Biden-Harris administration has focused on significantly increasing investment towards Central America, including Mexico, while at the same time telling immigrants in Guatemala do not come. The irony is clear, right? If there was any time in the modern history of the United States to promote flexibility of its migration policy, it is now. It is the most efficient and easy way to offer a smart solution to the unprecedented tightness in U.S. labor markets. It is a no-brainer for several reasons. First, many of the occupations that are particularly experiencing shortages are occupations where immigrants can start jobs quickly. So you brought that up yesterday, right? About the reason why, they're flowing in like they are to deal with AI and all of that. They're not worried about paying us reparations. This is what the things that they are focused on. It's not us at all.
Right. Yeah, and notice what she was saying. they know we on top of all this stuff now. We monitoring it, so they trying to hide it by, like she said, going through these NGOs and putting filtering this money through there where we can't see what they're doing. Oh yeah, check this out.
Vicki Dillon here for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give us a big thumbs up and share the broadcast. Thank you so very much. Family, it is not often that we find a Caucasian, American in particular, say the obvious. And that is calling out America's need to actually repair or make reparations for centuries-old bloody misdeeds against the true founding fathers and mothers of this country, which are Black women and Black men. I want you to watch what this lady says right here.
How do I feel about reparations for Black Americans? I feel that if the government isn't going to settle its debt, there is no hope for this country. Until we reconcile the balance sheet for all the stolen lives, stolen labor, and the fact that this country got to skip all of the growth years to become an economic superpower on the backs of enslaved Black Americans, until we honor the treaties in the sacred land of the indigenous and hold true to the word that we gave, a treaty which is supposed to supersede even the Constitution, there's no hope for unity. America loves to pride itself on this idea that it's a country that keeps its word. Its handshake is as good as its signature on a contract, but our signature on a contract is no good. And until we deal with those things, we will just be stuck microscopically moving the needle towards equity, but we can never get there until those things are done.
Did you all hear that? She makes it clear that America has no hope unless she makes it right with us and the indigenous people of this country by and through the treaties. And of course, as the great Dr. Claude Anderson has shown us and has taken legal action in court to demand the benefits of the treaties that actually have to do with Black Americans. Many people don't know that some of the original natives in this land were actually Black natives. Are y'all hearing me? And the Maroons are not just Maroons that were in, the Maroons don't just consist of those that fled to the Caribbean. Beloved, there were American Maroons that stayed right here and fought the beast that's little talked about. Are y'all hearing me today? I can appreciate her saying that, even though she represents a small handful. But let me tell you something. She recognizes that there is no hope. Instead of our open enemy trying to fight us and take us out before our time, instead of them trying to conduct policies and unalive us and take our lives on sight because of their fear of genetic annihilation, she's saying we better make it right so that we can stay on this planet for an additional weekend. Somebody Black talk Black to me.
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay, we go to our needed to know information right here. Thought this is pretty interesting because of what's going on over there with Gaza and Israel. I kind of touched on it before, but check it out.
The Philistines. They are probably one of the ancient world's most mysterious and misunderstood peoples. The Bible describes them as one of the nations that fought the tribes of Israel from the time of Abraham to the reign of David. They are mentioned many times as a recurring enemy of the Israelites in all periods of the Bible. Some of these Bible stories are the best-known stories of heroism. Today we will try to answer the question of where the Philistines came from, and we will deal with the heroic stories of the two heroes of Israel in their war against the Philistines. Let's begin. The Philistines came to Canaan at different times, as well as through the Mediterranean Sea and along the coastlines by land. Their conquests began in the 14th century BC. The area where the Philistines lived in the land of Canaan is called in the Bible, the land of the Philistines, or Philistia, and stretched from Gaza in the south to the north.
See that? You hear that?
Based on biblical tradition, The Philistines originated from Kaftor.
Okay, so we say that Gaza Strip is where the Philistines dwell at, right? And then it says that they came from Kaftor, right? So we go to Deuteronomy chapter 2, which I go here all the time. This chapter is mentioning the giants that nobody wants to believe existed. So we see that in verse 10 it says, the Eman dwelt therein in time past, the people great, many and tall as the Anakim, so these giants. And then we got 12. The Horum also dwelt in Seir before time, but the children of Esau succeeded them when they had destroyed them from before them and dwelt in their stead, as Israel did unto the land of his possession, which the Lord gave unto them. And you keep on reading, you get down to 20. That also accounted the land of giants. Giants dwelt therein in old times, and the Ammonites called them Zezimim, a people great and many and tall as the Anakim, but the Lord destroyed them from before them, and they succeeded them and dwelt in their place. And keep going down to 23. The Avon dwelt. So let's get to the point where we just made. See, they came from Kaftor, right? Verse 23, Deuteronomy 2 and 23. And Avon, which dwelt in Hazarim, these giants, even unto Azar. Okay, it says 23. And the Avon, which dwelt in Hazarim, even unto Azar, the Capturum, these giants. That's where these Canaanites, that's where the Philistines came from. Captor, which came forth out of Captor, destroyed them and dwelt in their stead. So these people is descendants from the captors from the Philistines, Gaza. Israel, the Philistine was always there. That Gaza Strip was always there when the real Israelites is there. So the Lord of hosts and Yahweh in heaven, the orders, the decree that went out was to cast the Israelites out of the land where they was at. So these people is tied to these captors, tied to the Canaanites. Okay, and they was one of Israel's enemies. They hated the Israelites. Okay. So one more place. Genesis chapter 10. Okay. It's giving you the lineages, right? Chapter 10. This is the supposed sons of Noah, right? We get on to Ham, and it says, verse 11, 10 and 11. Out of the land went forth Asher and built in Nineveh in the city of Ribah and Caleb, and Rezin between Nineveh and Caleb, same as that great city. Then 13, and Mesrim begot Ludim and Anam and all these giants, and Leobim and Nephthalim and Patharim, and I'm butchering these names, and Kashalum, out of whom came the Philistines and the captive. So that's where these people originated from. They're descendants from these Philistines.
Some speculate that it is Crete, the place of origin of the Philistines, according to the Bible book of Amos.
Okay.
From Central Ohio to San Bernardino.
You Israelites the same to me as the Cushites, declares the Lord. Did I not bring Israel up from Egypt, the Philistines from Kaftor, and the Arameans from Kir? Amos 9 verse 7. As described in Genesis, the Philistines originate from the land of the Casluhim, descendants of Ham and Noah's great-grandchildren, who came from Egypt. Pathrusites, Casluhites from whom the Philistines came, and Caphtorites. Genesis 10 verse 14. The Philistines mentioned in Genesis were the first to come to Canaan, even before Abraham's time. They started the kingdom of Gerar in southern Canaan. In Genesis, they aren't talked about much, except when Abraham and Isaac go to Gerar, a city ruled by King Abimelech. The first encounter with the Philistines starts on the wrong foot. Abimelech, the Philistine king, takes Sarah from Abraham, thinking she's his sister. But in a surprising turn, after a talk with God in a dream, he doesn't touch Sarah and returns her, along with many gifts, to Abraham. The Philistines from Caphtor are the second wave. They arrived in Canaan just before the Israelites came during Joshua's time, settling south of Gaza. The third wave invaded during the Judges era, settling from Gaza to Ekron in the coastal valley. The Philistines' religion and language origins are a mystery, but clues in the Bible and surviving Egyptian reliefs suggest some connections. The Bible comprehensively details their worship practices. In matters of faith, they followed Canaanite customs, venerating Dagon, the coastal people's idol, and possibly Beelzebub in Ekron. Their language remains unclear, lacking any distinct Philistine tongue. The Semitic names of their cities and idols hint at a language akin to Hebrew in Canaan. Alternatively, these names might have been passed down from the Canaanites, the original inhabitants, influencing the city names. The Bible lists 5 Philistine cities: Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, Gaza, and Ekron. This coastal area in southwestern Canaan was under Egyptian control until around 1185 BC. Biblically, these cities were governed by 5 Philistine rulers. The Philistines' livelihood centered on shipping, crafts, trade, and likely war spoils and plunder, aligning with 1 Samuel chapter 23's description. Some of them were involved in a vital role in shaping the unique culture of the Sea Islands, particularly in the realm of metalwork. Their expertise extended to polishing various agricultural tools crafted from iron, copper, and bronze. Furthermore, they demonstrated skill in fashioning weapons from these metals. Out of all the stories found in Judges, the story of Samson's heroism and fighting stands out. Samson, a revered judge in Israel, engaged in fights with the Philistines. His story includes his marriage to a Philistine woman, Delilah, and his battles against them. In one of Samson's battles with the Philistines, Samson remarkably defeated 1,000 of them using the jawbone of a donkey. In the happiness of their win, the Philistines aimed to mock the one who had scared them. So, they got Samson from the prison and intended to celebrate their triumph by mocking him. In the middle of the temple of Dagon were strong pillars supporting the entire structure. After the Philistines pecked out Samson's eyes, he asked the boy who was leading him to lead him to the central support pillars so he could lean on them. The temple of Dagon was crowded with men, women, and Philistine captains, and on its roof there were about 3,000 men and women, waiting for the show of amusement and mockery. But the long-awaited scenario changed, and instead of amusement and mockery, a picture of Samson praying to God was revealed to their eyes. Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more.
So we see right here, like I said, in the book of Joshua, they was given orders by Moses first, Joshua, Joshua came and they was told to drive out all the people, the Canaanites. They wanted to utterly destroy them because you know who they were. They was invasive species because they came about from angels sleeping with women. That's how you get the giants. So we see right here in Joshua says, in those days, the kings and the princes of the seacoast, right? Kings of the mountains, kings of the valley, assembled themselves together nigh unto Bethel. Bethel, that's where the portal at. The angels come in at from other dimension. In the way as thou goest up to Bethlehem, and Joshua and all the elders of the tribes of Israel came there also. Joshua stood forth, and he spake unto all the kings of the seacoast, and the kings of the mountains, and the kings of the valleys, and said, to live in peace surely, that there be no more war between us and our sons and our sons' sons, or we now come. Behold now, O ye nations, choose ye out in every tribe the cities you are willing to dwell in, and all those lands and possessions which shall be yours, and be ye unto yourselves, that your families remain inhabitants of the land, and that ye eat the fruit of your increase. Then answered all the kings of the seacoast, kings of the mountains, and the kings of the valleys, and they said, what thou, O Joshua, judge of all Israel, hast spoken seemeth unto us good, and all that thou commanded that we would do. So we see right here, they didn't completely obey the orders that the Lord of hosts had gave them, Yahweh had gave them. They allowed them to live among them. So you say, what are you talking about? That's understanding this right here, what I just read. Then you go to the Levite. They cut his wife up into 12 pieces. Because notice when he was trying to, when he went to go get his concubine, he was journeying and he trying to find an Israelite city that he can dwell in before the sun went down. So the same thing with Sodom and Gomorrah, what was going on there. And it's all because they didn't drive these people out. So like I said, this situation right here today, what we're looking at over there, that's where they Philistines dwell there, in Gaza. Okay? I thought that was pretty interesting. So anybody have any comments on that? Okay, so we'll open it up for some Q&A. Anybody got any questions or comments about anything they want to talk about? Dialogue.
Shalom.
Okay.
Far as Zerubbabel, if I'm saying his name correctly, Zerubbabel, um, did he have, was he, I know he had children, but um, they didn't mention his wife's name, and did he have more than one?
No, it's only one Zerubbabel. And not anywhere that I can recall to mention his wife. All we know is they trace his lineage on the man's side from David's seed. Okay, but we'll talk about that when we get to the discussion. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anybody else got any questions or comments about anything they came across during the week or whatever?
Yes, sir. Shalom. I have a question in reference to all the current events that is, taking place right now, which we know is Bible prophecy, right? But particularly on what is going on between Israel and Gaza, right? Everything that's happening over there. So
Okay.
we know with the war that's going over there right now, all the killing and all that. So once it's all over with, Brother Leonard, what is going to happen to those people that are there now, including the, you know, uh, Zionists that are there,
The
because they're
Israelis?
not, yes, those people and the Palestinians. What is going to happen to those people? Are they going to totally migrate somewhere else? Or are they just totally going to be eliminated.
From what I just read, they was given commandments by the Lord, the host, and by Yahweh to totally annihilate those people. Same way that he told Saul to do with the Amalek, the Amalekites. He sent Saul to wipe all of them out. Saul went, but he kept the king, Agag. So we see right here what I just read in Jasher. They didn't drive all of them out. After Jasher passed away, they came and made a pact, a treaty with them, and allowed them to settle in certain places in their own cities. They didn't mingle with them, but they had their own cities, but they still was in the land, amongst the land. That's not what he told them to do. So guess what? The Most High gonna finish the job. He gonna do what he told them to do, which is totally annihilate them. So you go back to the law when he says when you see sin in Israel, take them outside the camp and stone them to death. Why? To root out the evil. So everything we see going on now is because they allow the evil to keep prospering. It's like weeds in your garden. You don't go and pull them out by the roots, they're gonna keep coming back. And they didn't do that. So Most High got to do it. And he tells us that all through the scriptures. One of the verses is Esau. You know, Esau ended up intermingling with them. So let's look at it in the book of Obadiah. And this is what a lot of people not get. They want to say, oh, it's some good Edomites. There's some good European white folks, right? Well, let's look at what the Most High says. Okay, he says, Obadiah, it's only one chapter. So it says, Israel ultimate triumph is what the title says. And so it says, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. For the Lord hath spoken. The Lord spoke. That. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plains of the Philistines. They go to Gaza Strip, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead, and the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, right? Because we ain't got rid of them. Even unto Zarephath, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Seraphad, shall possess the cities of the south. And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. So notice verse 21. Saviors shall come up on Mount Zion. So the place where they coming to is saviors, right? Shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau. So it's telling you Esau is in Mount Zion. That's who over there right now, posing that Israelite. See that? Saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord. So who is these saviors? Go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel 37. Okay. You go to saviors right here. Then said he unto me, 37 and 9. Then said he unto me, prophesy to the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord God, come from the four winds, O breath, breathe upon these slain that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath came into them, and they lived, stood upon their feet, and exceedingly great army. That's the saviors that come up on Mount Zion. So let's look at it. Go to, that's all our forefathers talking about, especially the minor prophets, is this. And it's overshadowed by JC. So you go to, let me get it. Joel. Joel chapter 2 says, blow your trumpet in Zion, sound the alarm in my holy mountain, and let the inhabitants of the land tremble. For the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand, day of darkness, day of gloominess, day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and strong that has not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devoured before them, and behind them a flame burning, and the land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is like the appearance of horses, and as horses, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on top of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of flames of fire that devour the stubble. We just read in Obadiah who was the fire and who the stubble is, right? As a strong people set in battle array. It's an army. Before their faces, the people shall be much pain. What people? The ones over in the land of Israel shall be much pain. All faces shall gather blackness, and they shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the walls like men of war, and they shall march everyone in his way, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another, and they shall walk everyone in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be killed. You can't kill them because they've been resurrected. It's our forefathers been resurrected. Ezekiel 37. You can't kill them. Say, they shall run like to and fro in the city. They shall run up and down the walls. They shall climb upon the houses, and they shall enter in the windows like a thief. Who they looking for? These imposters. They're gonna kill the land out. Our forefathers didn't do it, but these people are gonna do it. So I want to shine a light on something right quick. It says, chapter 2, Joel chapter 2, a day of darkness, chapter 2, verse 2. A day of darkness, gloominess, a day of clouds, and of thick darkness, and a morning spread upon the mountain, a great people and strong, they have not ever the like. So what did he talk about? There's never been nobody like them, right? Go to Zechariah, chapter 12. Zechariah 12. Let me get it. Okay. Zechariah chapter 12. All this tied to our deliverance. So I'm going to read this 8 verses. The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, said the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens and laid the foundation of the earth and formeth the spirit of man within him. There you go again, right there. See how the Most High working? Formeth the spirit of man in him. So the body of the soul. See that? 12. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all people round about, when they shall be in the siege, both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut into pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. In that day, said the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment and his riders with madness, and I will open my eyes upon the house of Judah, and I will smite every horse with blindness, and the governors, these kings, they dead. These are all kings. First, Second Chronicles, First, Second Kings. The kings of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength in the Lord of hosts. This is what they're going to say when he resurrected. 6, in that day will I make the kings of Judah like a heath of fire, like go to fire in Obadiah, among the wood, and like a torch of fire in the sheath, and they shall devour all the people. See that? All the people round about, on the right hand and on the left, and Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place in Jerusalem. Like, just go back to what I was saying. Negroes standing around bumping their gums about, oh, this is some good people here, some good people there. Evidently, it ain't. What the Most High doing? 7, the Lord shall save the tents of Judah first. That's the glory of the house of David. That's the kings. First and Second Chronicles. And the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against you. So here we go. He said, there shall not be a people like, never alike. There's never been a people like this. This is why right here. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David. And then the house of David, which he resurrect, shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. So we know the angel of the Lord is like a consuming fire. He's like Yahweh.
Right.
So there ain't never been nobody like this. That's why I'm saying the great people never been like this. These are forefathers, even resurrected. They was already told they was going to be like the Lord when he resurrect them. That's what's getting ready to happen. You're going to clear the whole place out. You can, do whatever you want to do, but when it start happening, you have to do something. Yeah. So that's what that's all about. It ain't no all this other bullshit they're talking about, nuclear weapons and all this stuff. No. Let me read this right quick. I said I was gonna hold off on it, but I'm just gonna read a little bit of it because I haven't finished doing what I was doing with it. But I mean, this is the ancient book of Gad, the seer, right? To show you how crazy this is. I mean, this is some serious meat. Let me read it right quick, just a part of it. It says, this is let me see, okay, gotta get it. It's explaining these angels that they're not telling us about. They roles and actually how they actually operate. It says all the Philistines assembled themselves together to fight against Israel, right? And there were so many multitudes of Philistines that they could not be numbered. And David was greatly distressed because he was afraid of the Philistines. And the Lord said to Gad, Gad, they totally took Gad out of the picture, right? Go and tell David, my servant, do not be worried. This is why our forefathers believed in him so much. Do not be worried about these uncircumcised Philistines, because tomorrow I will give them and those other oppressors with them, they oppressors, right, with them into your hands. And David said to Gad, I will not, I am not worthy of all the mercies that the Lord has shown me. But blessed be the name of the Lord forever and ever. Now here you go. That night, a fire angel, come on, a fire angel came down from heaven with a sword in his hand, and he attacked the camp of the uncircumcised. It was such a great slaughter that none of them were left alive. See that? And it came to pass that night, the next morning, that they came to David saying, behold, all the Philistines has been killed by someone who rose up against them. Not a single one of them was left alive. And David raised his voice and said, now I know that nothing can hinder the Lord, and he can save us from many or few, and his salvation can be in the blink of an eye. See that? In the blink of an eye. Come on now. So all you sitting around waiting, what's gonna happen gonna be in a blink of an eye. Come on. He says, can be in a blink of an eye. And he said, blessed are you, O Lord, who has been taking revenge for us on our enemies. And he set up a pillar and called the pillar of revenge to this day. Ain't that something? That's
yes.
Right. So nowhere in the Old Testament you see fire angel. Come on. And we know that's what it said because at the fiery furnace. What else was it that caused them not to be able to be burned up? Then we know in Jasher, Abraham was put in the fiery furnace by Nimrod. And the fire angel came down and stopped him from burning up. Moses was on Mount Horeb, and the angel lit on the bush and the flame of a fire. So ain't no damn missiles gonna be used. It's these angels. You weren't gonna tear this place up. No flying saucers. Come on.
Right.
That's why they bleed in the Most High. That's why they bleed in him so much. And we know the same thing happened with Hezekiah when the Syrian army came and posted up outside Jerusalem. And that night, when they woke up the next morning, wasn't nobody alive. Wasn't no missiles then. Come on. Ain't that something?
Yes, sir. So true. So true. And
Okay.
and Brother Leonard, as you was mentioning Gad, right?
Right.
He's mentioning Chronicles. I can't remember if it's First Chronicles or Second Chronicles, but I remember you reading that out of Chronicles, and it just mentions him very briefly. And and once you research Gad, he's called the Lost Book. And really, when you look at it, they name all these books and what has been said out of the KJV, and they call them lost books. But they are the ones. Am I saying that right?
Right.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So they got brainwashed at first. Now they bringing out these books, and the average person, they already spooked you and told you not to deal with them. But and then you can't. The average person can't deal with them. Then you go back to Joshua, especially with Joseph when he was in Egypt, you notice everybody kept saying, "We see the Spirit of God on you." So with the spirit of the Most High on the man, he's gonna lead them when he's gonna rightly divide it. If you're a nut bucket, you ain't gonna be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that go. Ain't nothing new under the sun. And then you feel a certain type of way when it's being broken down and you never saw it and you can't do it. Now you're feeling a certain type of way. That's why he got priests and Levites. Then he got the other 11 tribes.
Yes, sir. You're right. I was just gonna say that. Right. Yes, sir.
Right. Is there something?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All praises. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, with that being said, I'm gonna play this here. Then we go into our little discussion. Okay.
So Biden may be on Israel's side, but not everyone in the West is convinced. In fact, his own staff is not convinced. This is Josh Paul. He works for the US State Department, or shall I say used to work for the US State Department. Paul worked the same job for 11 years, overseeing global arms transfers for the US. But yesterday he had enough. He resigned from his job. Do you know why? Because he did not agree with Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas war. And he's not the only one. In Spain, a minister has spoken up. She wants Madrid to suspend relations with Israel. Our next report tells you why the West is increasingly divided on Israel.
On October 18th, US President Joe Biden landed in Israel. He hugged the Israeli Prime Minister. He promised support to Israel. Basically, Biden's visit was all about solidarity. When the attack happened, Biden said America has Israel's back, and he walked the talk in Tel Aviv. So we know how Biden feels about Israel. But does his staff feel the same? Not really. A US State Department official's resignation letter echoes that emotion. It's a really long letter. But if there's one thing you should read from it, it's this, and I quote, "We cannot be both against occupation and for it. We cannot be both for freedom and against it. And we cannot be for a better world while contributing to one that's materially worse." Strong words right there. And many in Biden's administration echo this emotion. Biden has the most diverse White House staff in history, and most have reservations about how this conflict is being handled. They may not be saying it aloud, but they feel stifled when it comes to discussing what's happening in Gaza. Several staffers across multiple agencies have raised concern. Some want to question Israel's conduct, but fear the backlash. The Biden administration isn't the only one that's divided. The Spanish government, too, is torn. Its social rights minister wants Madrid to suspend ties with Israel.
Today, I have asked our partner, the Socialist Party, that we take ourselves more seriously in the fight against this planned genocide, which is being carried out by Israel against the Palestinian people. To do this, I believe that we should urgently suspend diplomatic relations with the State of Israel. In addition, we should promote a debate at the European level in order to apply exemplary economic sanctions against those politically responsible for this genocide.
Now, this Spanish minister's comments are very significant. You see, the West is trying to show a united front. At least the Quint is trying to show it. That's the US, Germany, France, Italy, and the UK. They're called the Quint. Biden, Sunak, and Schultz have already visited Israel. Macron plans to do it in the coming days. So they may be united, but when it comes to the rest of the West, they are divided on this.
Okay, any comments on that? You see the undoing taking place. Okay, so before I go into the topic, I wanted to shine one more light on something. I was reading out of the Gad, right, and he said that back to what I was just breaking down, the spirit and the soul, right? You know, just the scriptures itself gonna break that down for you. But so it says a fire angel came down with a sword. So you gotta look at that. So if you got a sword, you got a sheath. You gotta have something around his waist. So it's a man. He's a fire angel. Like I said, we see that same fire angel was able to light on the bush with Moses. They had the shapeshift. So you got a body. He's described, and Daniel described it in chapter 10. He said he girded about with a golden girdle around his waist and all that. It's impossible that it's Yahweh. It's just my point right here. It's like I was saying, they make a point. If you thinking like a Hebrew, he says he got a sword with him. Yahweh ain't got no sword with him. So that ain't Yahweh. You can't keep fumbling with that. So now let's go to this other one. This is way bigger than that. But it's elementary. So you go to Deuteronomy right quick. Then we go into the lesson. 32. Right? Like I said, it's the Lord of hosts, Michael, Lord of hosts, either one with the sword. So it says, let me see, 32, starting at 36. Deuteronomy 32 and 36. To me belongeth vengeance and recompense. Their foot shall slide in the due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come to pass make haste. For the Lord shall judge. See that? Yahweh ain't doing the judging. Lord of hosts is doing the judging. Say, the Lord shall judge his people and repent himself of his servants when he seeth their power is gone, and there is none set up or left. And he shall say, where are your gods? Their rock is in whom they trusted. Here you go, right here. That Negroes fumbling with, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drink the wine of their drink offerings. Let them rise up and help you and be your protection. Then here you go, right here. See now, even I am he, and there is no God with me. I kill, I make alive, I wound, I heal. Neither is there any God that can deliver out of my hands. Now here you go, just like with the fire angel. For I lift up my hands under heaven, and I say, I live forever. If I, with my glistening sword and my hands, take hold of judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies, and I will reward them that hate me. And Yahweh. See what I'm saying? So you've been duped. Okay?
Yes, sir. That's big.
It's right there. It's right there in your face. Ain't none of Yahweh. He just told you the fire angel came down with a sword. Yahweh ain't got no sword. He don't need no sword. He got these 7 angels that he formed in the very beginning. And Michael is over him. He's the Lord of hosts. Over the Most High's army. Ain't none of Yahweh. And the reason you don't know that, because of JC. They stuck JC in the place. Okay? Come on. Yeah, so anyway, anybody got a question? We're gonna go into the topic. Like I said, this is a Zerubbabel weekend. We're starting tonight with it. So I want to introduce Zerubbabel. First, I'm gonna ask everybody, anybody got any idea who Zerubbabel is or any comments on him before we get started? Nobody knows who Zerubbabel is? Okay, so here we go. I'm in first Ezra in the Apocryphal books. It's the best way to introduce you Zerubbabel. So it says, well, let's look at it right quick. First of all, I'm gonna read in Daniel 9:25. Like I said, you're gonna see you've been duped. The longer you hang on this channel, you're gonna find out just how much you've been duped. So I'm in Daniel right quick. 9:25. It says, know therefore and understand that from the going forward for the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks, and the streets shall be 62 weeks. The streets shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublesome times. So we under the impression we've been lied to by the powers that be that this ain't happened yet. It's JC. This Messiah right here is JC, right? But notice what it says. Nobody reads the last part of that verse when it says, the street shall be built again in the wall. And then all you have to do is go back to, like we read the other night, last 2 nights, about Nehemiah. You go to Nehemiah, let me get it. And then, let me get it. There it is in verse, chapter 3. Then Elishibad, the high priest, rose up with the brethren, the priests, and they builded the sheep gate, and they sanctified it, and they set up the doors of it, even unto the tower of meat, that sanctified it, and unto the tower of Bethel, and next unto him builded the men of Jericho. Okay, let me keep on going. I'm going to pick the wrong verses. Okay, let me see. Okay. Yeah, 30, Nehemiah 4:13. Therefore, set up I the lower places beyond the wall. Look at the wall right here. And they came back in Babylon. This the wall right here in Daniel 9:25. It says, therefore, set up I the tower places behind the wall and on the higher places. Even I set up the people after their families with their swords and their spears and their bows. And I looked and I rose up and I said unto the nobles, to the rulers, and to the rest of the people, be not ye afraid of them. Remember the Lord, which is great and terrible, and fight for your brethren and your sons and your daughters and your wives and your houses. And it came to pass when the enemies heard that it was known unto us that the God had brought their counsel to naught, that we returned all of us to the wall, every one of us. So they're working on the wall in Daniel 9:25. So if this the wall, then who the Messiah is, right? So go to Ezra. So we got 3 more days to deal with this. So tie your shoes up. So this is the proclamation that's in Daniel 9:25 right here, in verse Ezra chapter 1. Now, in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, the word of the Lord, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation. This is a commandment right here. He made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, put it in writing. Look what he said. Thus said Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven have given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he have charged me to build them a house in Jerusalem. Ain't that what Daniel 9:25 just said? We're going back to rebuild the streets of Jerusalem and the wall. Right? So we see right here. We still looking at, we see who it is. Jerusalem, we see the wall. So who is this Messiah that they're talking about? And remember what a Messiah is. He's a king. He's anointed. He's out of seed of David. He's out of David lineage. So it says, 3, who is there among you of all his people? His God be with him. Let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judea, build a house of God of Israel. He is the God which is in Jerusalem. Whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourns, let the men of the place help him with silver and with gold and with goods and with beasts, and besides the free will offering for the house of God that is in Jerusalem. Say, then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin and the priests and the Levites. He got a servant right here, the suffering servant, the priests, the Levites, and all of them that whose spirit God had raised to go up to build the house of God, which is in Jerusalem, and all they that were about them strengthened their hands with vessels of silver, with gold, with goods, with beasts, and with precious things, besides all that was willingly offered. Also, Cyrus king brought forth the vessels of the house of the Lord, which Nebuchadnezzar had brought forth out of Jerusalem, and put them in the house of his God. Even these did Cyrus king of Persia. Here we go. Remember in Daniel 9:25, it said the prince, the Messiah, right? So it says right here, even though did Cyrus king of Persia bring forth by the hands of Mitra the treasurer, numbered them unto Sheshbazzar, right? The prince of Judah. There go the prince right here. So who is this Sheshbazzar, right? So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego names got changed. They had Israelite names, but when they got to Babylon, they changed their names. Daniel's name was changed to Belteshazzar. So who is this Sheshbazzar? So notice he says, even those did Cyrus king of Persia bring forth by the hands of Mitra the treasurer, numbered them under Sheshbazzar the prince. Right? So he gave everything in Sheshbazzar, right? So you go to chapter 2, verse 1. You're gonna see who it is. Now, these are the children of the providence that went up out of the captivity, out of Babylon, of those which have been carried away, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away unto Babylon, and came again unto Jerusalem and Judah, every one unto his city. Here you go. 2, which came with Zerubbabel. There it is right there. Sheshbazzar is Zerubbabel. That's Zerubbabel's captive name. See that? So that's who Zerubbabel is. Okay, so now we'll go to these so-called books they tell you don't read. Okay, so I'm in First Ezra, right? Book of First Ezra. When Josiah celebrated the Passover, so if you're a stout and a devoted reader, you'll know who Josiah is. When Josiah celebrated the Passover festival in Jerusalem to his Lord, he sacrificed the Passover on the 14th day of the first month, placing the priests in their divisions, clad in their vestments, in the temple of the Lord, and he ordered the Levites and the temple slaves of Israel to consecrate themselves to the Lord when they had put the holy chest of the Lord in the house of the Lord, which Solomon the king, the son of David, had built and said. So let me read this again, because here goes your suffering servant right here. The priests and Levites. Remember, he took them to himself, separated them from everybody else. It says, when Josiah celebrated the Passover festival in Jerusalem to his Lord, he sacrificed the Passover on the 14th day of the first month, placing the priests in their divisions, clad in their vestments in the temple of the Lord, and he ordered the Levites, the temple slaves of Israel, to consecrate themselves to the Lord. There goes your suffering servant right there. I say, when they put the holy chest of the Lord in the house of the Lord, the Solomon king, son of David, had built, and he said, you will have to carry it on your shoulders. You don't have to carry it on your shoulders anymore. So now worship the Lord your God and serve his people of Israel, and prepare yourselves by your families and kindred, as David, king of Israel, wrote, and with all the magnificence of Solomon his son, and take your places in the temple according to your ancestral groups as Levites before your brothers and the Israelites in the proper order, and sacrifice the Passover, and get the sacrifice ready for your brothers and observe the Passover in accordance with the Lord's command, which was given to Moses. So let me give you this golden nugget right quick, man. So look at this. It says they want you to think JC is the Messiah, right? So I'm gonna go cut through the chase. I'm gonna go right to Isaiah chapter 11, right? Isaiah chapter 11. So it says right here, chapter 11. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse. See that? Out of Jesse. Who is Jesse? David. David's daddy is Jesse. So the stem we're talking about is David. So he says, David, and the branch shall grow out of his roots, and the spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him. That's 1. The spirit of wisdom, 2. Understanding, 3. The spirit of counsel, 4. Might, 5. The spirit of knowledge, 6. And the fear of the Lord. There go the 7 angels right there. It says, and 3. And he shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord, right? And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. I ain't gonna read all that, but my point is to go to verse 10. In that day, that's what we're waiting on. There shall be a root out of Jesse. See that? Not a root out of David, like the blind man said. He says, in that day there shall be a root out of Jesse, which shall stand for insight to the people. Remember, David dead. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. So let's go back. Show you why I'm reading it. So I'm back over here. I was just reading in the first book of Ezra, and it says in verse 4, you will not have to carry it on your shoulders anymore. So now worship the Lord your God and serve his people, Israel, and prepare yourselves by your families and your kindred, as David, king of Israel, wrote. Not JC. See that? As David, king of Israel, wrote. And with all the magnificence of Solomon his son, and take your places in the temple according to your ancestral groups as Levites before your brothers, the Israelites, in proper order, and sacrifice the Passover, and get the sacrifice ready for your brothers, and observe the Passover in accordance with the Lord's command, which was given to Moses. See that? So David dead right here, but David the one set all this in place. He wasn't able to build a temple, but David, being the Messiah, all the kings that's in Israel came out of David. David is the root, is the root. That's why I say house of David. Okay, so then it says, and Josiah gave the people that were present 30,000 lambs and kids, 300 calves. These were given out of the king's revenue as he promised to the people and to the priests and the Levites. And Hilkiah and Zechariah and Jehiel and the rulers of the temple gave the priests for the Passover 2,600 sheep and 300 calves. And Jeconiah and Shema and Nathaniel, his brother, and Ashabah, and I don't know how to pronounce these names, and Arkel and Joram, colonels of the regiment, gave the Levites for Passover 5,000 sheep, 700 calves, and it was done. The priests and the Levites with the unleavened bread stood in proper order, right? What order? David. The order David gave them, that the Lord of hosts gave him, according to their kindred and their family division before the people, to make offerings to the Lord. It is prescribed in the book of Moses. This they did in the morning. They roasted the Passover with fire in the proper way, and boiled the sacrifice in cauldrons and basins with savory odors, and set them before all the people. Afterwards, they prepared some for themselves and their brethren, the priests, and the sons of Aaron. For the priests were offering the fat until late. So the Levites prepared meat for themselves and for their brothers, the priests. The sons of Aaron, the sacred musicians, too, the sons of Asaph, were in their places according to their regulations. See that? Here you go again. According to the regulations of David, not Jesus. With Asaph, Zechariah, and Enos, who were of the king's circle, and the doorkeeper stood at each door. No one needed to interpret his duties for that day, for their brothers and Levites prepared meat for them. So the things that the that had to do with the Lord's sacrifices were carried out that day in accordance with the Passover and the offering the sacrifices on the altar of the Lord, as King Josiah commanded. So the Israelites who were present at the time observed the Passover and the festival of unleavened bread for 7 days. Now, such a Passover had been celebrated in Israel since the time of the prophet Samuel, and none of the kings of Israel had celebrated such a Passover as Josiah and the priests and the Levites and the Jews celebrated with all the Israelites that were present in their dwelling in Jerusalem. It was in the 18th year of the reign of Josiah that this Passover was observed. And the doings of Josiah were upright in the Lord's sight, for his heart was full of piety. And the events of his time have been recorded in the past about those who sinned and acted wickedly toward the Lord, beyond all other nations or kingdoms, and how they grieved him keenly, so that the words of the Lord rose up and condemned Israel. After these doings of Josiah, it happened that the Pharaoh, I'm reading all this for a reason. Let me see. After these things, Josiah, it happened that the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, came to make war with Carchemish on the Euphrates, and Josiah went out to encounter him, and the king of Egypt sent word to him, saying, "What do you want with me, king of Judah? I was not sent against you by the Lord God. For my war is on the Euphrates, and now the Lord is with me. The Lord is with me, urging me on. Depart, and do not oppose the Lord." But Josiah would not turn back on his chariot, but tried to fight with him, disregarding the words of Jeremiah the prophet, spoken by the mouth of the Lord, and joined battle with him in the plains of Megiddo. And the leaders fought against King Josiah, and the king said to his servants, "Take me away from the battle, for I am very sick." And his servants immediately took him out of the fray, and he got into his second chariot and was taken back to Jerusalem, and he departed this life and was buried in the tomb of his forefathers. And they grieved for Josiah all over Judah. And Jeremiah the prophet laminated for Josiah, and principal men with the women have mourned him to this day. And it was ordered that this should always be done throughout all the nation of Israel. This is recorded in the scrolls of the histories of the kings of Judah, and every one of the deeds of Josiah, and every one of the deeds of Josiah, and his splendor, and his understanding of the law of the Lord, and what he had done before. And these present deeds are told in the scrolls of the kings of Israel and Judah. And the men of the nation took Jeconiah, the son of Josiah, made him king to succeed Josiah's father. And when he was 23 years old, and he had reigned 3 months in Judah and Jerusalem, then king of Egypt deposed him from reigning in Jerusalem, and he assessed the nation of Israel talents of silver and 1 talent of gold. And the king of Egypt opposed Jeconiah and appointed Jehoiakim, his brother, king of Judah and Jerusalem. And Jehoiakim put the nobles in prison and seized his brother Zacharias and brought him back from Egypt. Excuse me. And Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king of Judah and Jerusalem. And he did that which was wrong in the sight of the Lord. And Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against him, put him in chains, and took him, put him in chains and brass, took him to Babylon. And Nebuchadnezzar took some of the sacred dishes of the Lord and carried him off and set them up in the temple in Babylon. But the stories about him and his uncleanness and his impious behavior are written in the Chronicles of the King. And Jehoiakim, here we go. Jehoiakim, his son, became king in his stead. For when he was made king, he was 18 years old, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem. And he did that which was wrong in the sight of the Lord. And a year later, Nebuchadnezzar sent and removed him to Babylon with the sacred dishes of the Lord, and appointed Zedekiah, king of Judah and Jerusalem. And when Zedekiah was 21 years old, he reigned 11 years, and he did that which was wrong in the sight of the Lord. He disregarded the words that was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet from the mouth of the Lord. And although King Nebuchadnezzar had made him swear by the name of the Lord, he broke his oath and rebelled, and he hardened his neck and his heart, and he transgressed the laws of the Lord and the God of Israel. And the leaders of the people and the priests did many impious acts and surpassed in lawlessness in all unclean acts of all the heathens, and polluted the temple of the Lord that had been consecrated in Jerusalem. And the God of their forefathers sent by his messengers to call them back, for he would not have spared them and his dwelling, but they mocked his messengers, and wherever the Lord spoke to them, they made sport of his prophets. And he grew angry with his people because of their ungodliness and the order of the kings of the Chaldeans to be brought against them. These killed their young men and swore around their holy temple, and did not spare young or maidens, old men or child, for he delivered them all into their hands. And all the sacred dishes of the Lord in all their hands, and all the sacred dishes of the Lord, great and small, and the chest of the Lord, and the royal treasure they took, and carried them off to Babylon, and they burned the houses of the Lord, tore down the walls of Jerusalem, and burned down their towers, and completely ruined all the glories. And those who survived the sword he removed to Babylon, and they were his servants, and those his children, until the Persians came, which I just read. Cyrus came. Persians began to reign, to fulfill what the Lord had said by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land enjoyed its Sabbath all the time of her desolation. She shall keep the Sabbath until the lapse of 70 years. So see that right there? It said until the lapse of 70 years. So they was already, Jeremiah told them it was going to Jerusalem for 70 years. So let's go to let me get it. I lost my train of thought. Let's go to let me see. Okay, go to the land, enjoy the Sabbath. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Let me keep reading. Come back. So it says until the land enjoys the Sabbath all the time of her desolation, she shall keep the Sabbath, or keep the Sabbath. Yeah, I was going to Ezekiel in the captivity in Babylon, just as well as Daniel, all of them. So Ezekiel says right here. Sorry about that. So go to Ezekiel chapter 1. 70 years. I'm dealing with 70 years. That's how we're going to get to Zerubbabel. So it says, now, this is Ezekiel. He in the captivity too. We're going to see that right here. Now, it came to pass in the 13th year, in the 4th month, or the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives. See that? I ain't write it. It says, I was among the captives by the river Kabar, that the heavens were open. And I saw the vision. So what captivity in? Babylonian captivity. Just like Daniel. Okay. 3. Verse 2. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of the king Jehoiakim's captivity. So Jehoiakim, that's who they're keeping the count. From the time he out of David's lineage, from the time Jehoiakim went to Babylon, the 70 years started being counted. So right here in verse 2, they're in the 5th year of Jehoiakim. So let's go back and look at that right here again. Over here in the Apocrypha. In First Ezra, I'm gonna read. Jehoiakim, his son, became king in his stead. For when he was made king, he was 18 years old, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem, and did that which was wrong in the sight of the Lord. And a year later, Nebuchadnezzar sent and removed him to Babylon. This is when the count started, 70 years, with the sacred dishes of the Lord, and appointed Zedekiah, king of Judah, in Jerusalem. So this is how you get Zerubbabel from this man. So say what you're talking about. You go to Jeremiah Okay. Go to Jeremiah, and you'll see that 39, I think it is. We'll get 39. It says, okay. So notice that he took not only did he take Jehoiakim to Babylon, but he took Zedekiah to Babylon too. So right here in Jeremiah 39 it says, and it came to pass 39:4. It came to pass that when Zedekiah the king of Judah saw him and all the men of war, that they fled and went forth out of the city by night by the way of the king's garden, by the gate between the two walls, and he went out of the way of the plains. But the Chaldean army pursued after him, and they overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho. And when they had taken him, they brought him up to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, at Riblah in the land of Hamath, where he was given judgment upon him. Then the king of Babylon, remember, Zedekiah the one burnt the scroll. Burnt the scrolls that Jeremiah had sent to him. He burnt them. So he says, 5. But the Chaldean army pursued after them, overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho, and when they had taken him, they brought him up to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, at Riblah in the land of Hamath, where he was given, or we gave judgment upon him. Then the king of Babylon slew his sons. See that? Zedekiah and Riblah before his eyes. Also, king of Babylon slew all the nobles of Judah. Moreover, he put out Zedekiah's eyes, bound him with chains, carried him to Babylon. And the Chaldeans burned the king's house and the houses of the people with fire and break down the walls of Jerusalem. They go to the walls again. But notice, he burned the scrolls, so he got his house burned down. He's the reason that Babylon got burned down. I mean, Jerusalem got burned down. Because when the prophet came to him, sent Barak to him with the word of the Lord, he burned it on the fire. So we see right here, Nebuchadnezzar, Zedekiah got, his sons got killed, his vintage and everything got cut off. The Lord of hosts doings. So let's go to 2 Chronicles and see what happened to Jehoiakim. 2 Chronicles. Okay, and you see right here. Yeah, here you go. It says verse 9, 36 and 9. Jehoiakim was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. And when the year was expired, King Nebuchadnezzar brought him to Babylon with the goodly vessels of the house of the Lord and made Zedekiah his brother. So he was taking that too also. So now let's look at what happened to him. Okay, I might be in the wrong place. Let me see. Okay. Let me go back to first. Second Kings. Okay. Yeah, here you go. 2 Kings 25 says, this Jehoiakim. Remember, I read in Ezekiel, he was 5 years in the captivity of Jehoiakim. That's where the count started. You got to count 70 years. That's what Daniel doing. So 27. And it came to pass in the 7th and 30th year of the captivity of Jehoiakim. See that? Now it's 37 years. King of Judah, in the 12th month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, that evil Murdoch, king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar dead. Now his son came in the throne. In the year that he had begun to reign, did lift up the head of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, out of prison. And he spake kindly to him and set his throne above the thrones of all the kings that were with him in Babylon. So he raised David's throne up over all the kings. See that? This is how the Lord hosts work. So it says 29, changed his prison garment, and he did eat bread continuously before him all the days of his life. And his allowance was the continual allowance given him of the king, and the daily rate for every day all the days of his life. So he raised him up out of the temple, because when he took his wives, all his sons and everything. We saw he killed Zedekiah's sons. So just the lineage right here, following David's lineage. He got a Most High, Lord Host got a covenant with David. There's always going to be a seed out of his lineage on the throne. So just the lineage you follow. So Jehoiakim had let's go to Haggai. Go to Haggai. So you see what I'm talking about. Okay, so the time came. 70 years is up. We're in chapter 1 of Haggai. It says, in the second year of Darius, let's see, Cyrus dead now. So in the second year of Darius, the king, in the 6th month, in the first day of the month, came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel. See that? The son of Seth, there it is, Sethel. Jehoiakim had Sethel. Sethel had Zerubbabel. There it is right here. So it says, Zerubbabel, the son of Sethel, governor, king of Judah, and Joshua, the son of Josadak, the king, the high priest. So this Zerubbabel was born in Babylon, but when the king when Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuchadnezzar took him to Babylon, they took him, all his wives, his concubines, and everything. That's how the Most High is honoring David, lineage, keeping his lineage going. So he raised him up out of captivity, but he got all his wives and everything with him. Then he had Sethel, and Sethel has Zerubbabel. That's why it's saying the Prince of Judah. But his name is Sheshbazzar, is the name they gave him, like they gave David Belteshazzar. But anyway, how did he get in First Chronicles, when I read out of Second Ezra, out of Ezra chapter 2, when it says the people went back with Zerubbabel. Well, this is how it happened right here. Let me show you. It's no different than how he raised up Mordecai, second in command, and then he raised up Joseph, second in command. So he did the same thing right here. It says, I'm in the first book of Ezra, right? Chapter 2, verse 30. When the message of the king Ahasuerus was read, Rehoboam and Shimshai and the scribes of their associates proceeded in haste to Jerusalem. These are Samaritans, right? The people that the king of Syria brought there, wicked, and their associates proceeded in haste to Jerusalem with horsemen and a crowd of troops, and began to hinder the building. So Nehemiah back, they're trying to build a wall. So the rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem was suspended. That's in Daniel 9:25. Going to be cut off. Daniel 9:26 was suspended until the sacred year of the reign of Darius, king of Persia. Now, King Darius made a great banquet for all his subjects and all his domestics and all the nobles of Media and Persia and all the viceroys and all the provincial and district governors under his sway in 127 provinces from India to Ethiopia. And they ate and drank. And when they were satisfied, they went home. But Darius king went to his bedroom and fell asleep, then awake. Then the 3 young men of his bodyguards, who kept guard over the person of the king, said one to another, so what's going on? If you understand how it worked in ancient times, they would take the kings take the sons, the princes of the kings that they conquered, and use them as their bodyguards. So they got Darius Zerubbabel being raised up by around these kings as a bodyguard. He's out of David's lineage, but he's a bodyguard for the king, just like Nehemiah was the cupbearer. So he says, Darius is asleep. So it said, let each say what one thing is strongest, and Darius the king will give rich presents and great honor. So it's a competition to see who the wisest. Great honor to one whose words seem the wisest, and have him dressed in purple, drink from a gold cup, sleep on a gold bed, and give him a chariot with gold bridle and linen headdress and a necklace around his neck, and become and because of his wisdom, he shall be next to Darius, second in charge. See that? And be called Darius' kinsman. Then they each wrote his own answer and put it and sealed it and put it under the pillow of King Darius. And he said, when the king awakes, they will give him the writings, and the one whose choice the king and the three princes of the Persia judge the wisest shall be considered the victor in what he has written. So I'm not going to read all that. So the first two wrote something, but I'm going to read what Darius wrote to get to it. So it says, then the third, who had spoken of women and truth, his name was Zerubbabel, began to speak. Gentlemen, is it not the king great, and are not men many, and is not a wine strong? Who is then that rules over them and master them? Is it not women? Women have borne the king and all the people, who are lords of sea and land. From them they are sprung, and they brought them up and plant the vineyards for which the wine comes. They make men's clothes. They make men's splendor. They make men, and men cannot exist without women. Why, if a man amass gold and silver and everything of beauty, and then see a woman remarkable for looks and beauty, they let all these things go and gape at her and stare at her with open mouth, and would all rather have her than gold or silver or anything of beauty. A man will leave his own father who brought him up in his own country and be united with his wife. With his wife, he ends his days and remembers neither his father nor his mother nor his country. Okay? Hence, you must recognize that women rule over men. Do you not toil and labor and bring all that you get? Bring it all and give it to your wives. A man takes his sword and goes out on an expedition to rob and steal and to sail the seas and the rivers. And he faces lions and walks in darkness. And when he steals and robs and plunders, he brings it back to the woman he loves. So a man loves his wife better than his father or his mother. Many have lost their heads completely for the sake of women and become slaves for their sake. Many have perished or failed and sinned for the sake of women. Now, do you not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not all lands fear even touch him? Yet I have seen him with a pain. The king's concubine, the daughter of the noble Bardicus, sitting at the king's right hand and taking the crown from the king's head and putting it on her own. And she slapped the king with her left hand. At this, the king stares at her open mouth. If she smiles at him, he laughs. If she grows angry at him, he flatters her so that she might be reconciled to him again. Gentlemen, how can women not be mighty when they act like that? Then the king and the nobles looked at one another and they began to speak about truth. Gentlemen, are not women mighty? Earth is vast, heaven is high, and the sun is swift in its course, for he circles about the heavens and hastens back to his own starting point in a single day. Is he not great who does these things? So truth is great and mightier than all the things. The whole earth calls upon truth, and heaven blesses her. All his works quake and tremble. There is no wrong doing with him. Wine is not upright. The king is not upright. Women are not upright. All the sons of men are not upright in all their doings. All such things are not upright. There is no truth in them. And through their unrighteousness, they will perish. But truth endures and is strong forever and lives and reigns forever and ever. There is no partiality or preference with her, but she does what is right rather than all that is wrong and wicked. All men approve of her doings, and there is no injustice in her judgment. To her belong power and royal dignity and authority and majesty in all its ages. Blessed be the God of truth. And when he stopped speaking, all the people shouted and said, truth is great and supremely strong. Then the king said, ask whatsoever you please, beyond all that is written here, and we will give it to you. Since you have been found the wisest, you shall sit next to me and be called my kinsman. Then said the king then he said to the king, so it goes where the drama coming in at. You gotta understand, it's David's, he's out of David's lineage and he's righteous. So he says, remember the vow that you made, talking to the king, the day you succeeded on your throne, to rebuild Jerusalem and send back all the dishes from Jerusalem which Cyrus set aside. And when he vowed to destroy Babylon, and he sent them back there, and you vowed to rebuild the house which the Edomites burned when Jerusalem had been laid waste by the Chaldeans. So now, my Lord, the king, this is what I ask and request of you. And this is the princely liberty to come from you. I beg you to carry out the vow that you vowed with your own lips to the King of heaven that you would carry out. Then Darius the king got up, kissed him, and he wrote letters for him to all his messengers and magistrates and officers and governors and escorted him safely with all who were going up with him to rebuild Jerusalem. And he wrote letters to all the magistrates in Syria and Phoenicia, and to those in Lebanon, to bring cedar timber from Lebanon to Jerusalem, that they should help him to rebuild the city. And he wrote in the interest of all the Jews who were going up from his kingdom to Judah to secure their freedom, that no noble or governor or magistrate or manager should forcibly enter their doors, and that all the countries which that were to occupy, they should possess free from tribute, and that the Edomites should give up the Jewish villages which they had controlled, and that 20 talents a year should be given for the rebuilding of the temple until it was completed. 10 talents a year besides the provided burnt offerings to be offered daily upon the altar in accordance with the command that had to be offered that they had to offer on the 17th, and that all who came up to Babylonia to rebuild the city should have their freedom, they and their children and all the priests to come up. So they go Daniel 9:25 right there. I just read. Zerubbabel, that's the priest. That's the Messiah that's in Daniel 9:25. So like I said, what I was doing tonight was just getting started with introducing Zerubbabel, because it's the golden cord right here. When you see that and you still dealing with JC, still dealing with the New Testament, you're a nut bucket, because it's been broken down right here. Okay? So with that being said, anybody got any comments or questions or remarks?
Shalom. So, I was reading Obadiah is Zerubbabel's son also.
No,
No.
Obadiah is just a minor prophet. That's
Okay.
he's one, like I was saying, the minor prophets is the one talking to us. Jeremiah, Ezekiel and them ain't talking to us. They're talking to our forefathers. It's when they came back from Babylon. All these men came back with Obadiah, Zechariah, all of them came back with Zerubbabel, back from Babylon. And so when you understand that, when you understand that and go to Zechariah chapter 9, he came back with the Messiah, with Zerubbabel. And so in Zechariah 9, verse 9, it says, let me read it. I don't want to misquote it. Zechariah, right? 9, verse 9. So it says, rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just, having salvation, lowly, riding upon an ass, a coat of an ass. So you got to ask yourself, how they got back from Jerusalem? They ain't have no SUVs or no Hummers. They had asses. So Zechariah with him. Come on.
I said Obadiah, not Zechariah.
Yeah, I know, I understand that.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, Obadiah is one of the people that came back with him. Let me read that. I mean, the Apocrypha, see what I'm saying? Like I said, is, you know, they got, you know, people brainwashed where they won't deal with these books, but you got to deal with them. We're in the last days. So it says, see? Yeah, here you go right here. I mean, this second Ezra, it says, and now, Father, look with pride and see the people coming from the east. They come from Babylon. To them I will give as leaders Isaac, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Hosea, Amos, Micah, Joel, Obadiah, Jonah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. That's all the minor prophets. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah. So, everybody good?
Yes.
All right. So, I'll see everybody tomorrow for our Clubhouse. We're gonna be dealing with uncover some more information on Zedekiah. I mean on Zerubbabel. This will be a Zerubbabel weekend. Okay, tomorrow we'll be on Clubhouse. We'll uncover some more on Zerubbabel. So I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. See y'all tomorrow.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.